My parents abandoned me at an orphanage when I was 8 years old. Not because they were poor, not because they had no choice. They looked me in the eyes, told me they would be back in 1 hour, and never returned. For 16 years, I believed they were dead. Until one rainy afternoon, when a black luxury SUV stopped outside my apartment. A woman stepped out carrying a bouquet of white lilies. She smiled through tears. "My son, we've finally found you." Behind her stood the man who had abandoned me. But what they said next made my blood freeze. "We need you to come home." Not because they loved me, because without me, they were about to lose everything. My name is Ethan Brooks. For most of my childhood, I believed families never gave up on their children. That belief died on a cold November afternoon. I still remember sitting inside my father's old pickup truck. My mother kissed my forehead. "We're only filling out some paperwork," she whispered. "You'll wait here for 1 hour." She even gave me my favorite chocolate bar. I waited. 1 hour became 3. 3 became sunset. When darkness covered the parking lot, the orphanage director gently took my hand. "They're gone," I screamed. I cried until my voice disappeared. For weeks, I refused to unpack my little backpack because I believed they would return tomorrow. Tomorrow never came. Months later, I learned something even more painful. My parents had sold our house, closed every bank account, changed their names, vanished. The police searched for them for nearly a year. Nothing. Everyone eventually assumed they had died somewhere overseas. Everyone. Except me. Deep inside, I knew they had chosen to disappear. Life inside St. Mary's Orphanage wasn't cruel, but it wasn't home. Children came, children left. Every adoption day felt like another reminder that no one wanted me. I stopped celebrating birthdays, stopped asking questions, stopped believing promises. The only person who truly cared about me was an old volunteer named Mrs. Eleanor Grant. Every Saturday, she brought homemade cookies and books. She often told me, "Your past doesn't decide your future." I didn't believe her, not then. When I turned 16, Mrs. Grant secretly paid for extra tutoring classes. She insisted I apply for college scholarships. "You're smarter than you realize." She was right. I earned a full scholarship to study software engineering. For the first time in my life, I built something nobody could take away. College wasn't easy. I worked nights delivering food, cleaned offices before sunrise, studied between shifts. Sometimes I slept only 3 hours, but every difficult day reminded me why I refused to quit. No one was coming to rescue me. I had to rescue myself. By 24, I had created a cybersecurity startup with 2 college friends. At first, nobody believed in us. Investors laughed. Banks rejected us. But one government contract changed everything. Within 4 years, our company became worth over $200 million. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know the mysterious founder who had grown up in an orphanage. Magazine interviews, business conferences, television appearances. People admired the success. They never saw the lonely child hiding behind the expensive suit. Mrs. Grant did. She hugged me after every achievement. I always knew. She became the closest thing I ever had to a mother. Then, she passed away peacefully at 83. At her funeral, I made one promise. I'll build a foundation for abandoned children. 6 months later, construction began. Every orphan would receive education, therapy, and a chance to build a future. The opening ceremony attracted local news. My speech spread across social media. Millions watched, including 2 people I never expected to hear from again. 3 weeks later, my assistant entered my office looking nervous. "Mr. Brooks, there's a couple insisting they're your parents." I laughed. "I don't have parents." They showed old family photographs. My smile disappeared. They're waiting downstairs. My heartbeat became strangely calm. 16 years of questions were standing inside my lobby. I slowly walked toward the reception area. The woman looked older, gray hair, shaking hands. But I recognized her instantly. She recognized me too. She burst into tears. My baby. The man beside her lowered his eyes in shame. We've searched everywhere for you. That lie almost made me laugh. You left me. Silence. People around us stopped pretending not to listen. My mother reached toward me. I know we made mistakes. I stepped backward. No. You abandoned an 8-year-old child. She collapsed into tears. My father finally spoke. We had reasons. There is no reason. His face turned pale. Then he quietly whispered something neither of them had planned to reveal. Please, come home. I stared at him. I don't have a home. He swallowed hard. Our family is falling apart. And we need your help. At that exact moment, I realized they hadn't returned because they loved me. They had returned because they desperately needed something only I could give. I looked at the two strangers standing before me. For 16 years, they had been ghosts. Now they suddenly remembered they had a son. Tell me the truth, I said. What do you really want? Neither of them answered. Instead, my father handed me a thick envelope. Inside were legal documents, property records, court notices, bankruptcy papers. Their family business was collapsing. Millions of dollars in debt. Their remaining assets were frozen. Then I noticed one document, a handwritten will, my grandfather's signature. I frowned. I've never seen this. My mother's eyes filled with tears. He loved you. According to the will, my grandfather had left controlling ownership of the family manufacturing company. To me, not to my parents. To me. But because I had disappeared from their lives. The inheritance remained legally unresolved for years. Now creditors had discovered the document. Without my signature, the company would be liquidated. Without me, my parents would lose everything. So that's why you're here. Neither of them denied it. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Finally, I asked the question that had haunted me since childhood. Why? My father closed his eyes. When the business failed 16 years ago, we owed dangerous people a lot of money. They threatened to kill us. We believed leaving you behind would keep you alive. I wanted to believe him. I truly did. But something didn't fit. If that was true, why didn't you come back? More silence. Then my mother whispered the words that hurt even more. We were ashamed. Ashamed. 16 years. Reduced to one word. I quietly folded the documents. I'll investigate everything. If you're lying, I'll know. Over the next several days, my legal team uncovered every hidden record. The debts had been real. The threats had existed. But another discovery shocked me even more. After escaping, my parents had tried to rebuild their lives under new identities. They failed. Again. And again. Not because they were evil, because guilt had destroyed them. They had never had another child, never celebrated birthdays, never even kept family photographs on the walls. My mother had visited St. Mary's Orphanage every single year, always too afraid to walk inside. When my investigators showed me security photos from previous years, I saw her standing outside the gates, crying, then leaving. She had been only a few hundred feet away, every year, but never brave enough to face me. For the first time, my anger became complicated. I still couldn't forgive them, but I no longer hated them. A week later, I invited them to my foundation. Not to my mansion, not to my office, to the orphanage. Children were laughing in the playground, exactly as I once had. I pointed toward them. Every one of these children still believes someone will come back. My parents couldn't hold back their tears. I continued quietly. You cannot erase what happened. You cannot buy forgiveness. But you can spend the rest of your lives making sure no child feels what I felt. I handed them volunteer applications. No money, no company, no inheritance, just work, real work. For months they served meals, read books to children, painted classrooms, never asking for anything in return, only after seeing them return every single week. Did I make my final decision? At a board meeting, I announced that my inheritance would not be used to save their company. Instead, every dollar would be transferred into the Orphan Foundation. The failing family business was sold. Its debts were paid legally. No shortcuts, no special treatment. When reporters asked why I didn't rescue the company, I smiled. My parents asked me to save their past. I chose to save someone else's future. Years later, people often ask whether I ever forgave them. The answer is simple. Forgiveness doesn't always mean pretending nothing happened. Sometimes, it means refusing to let yesterday control tomorrow. My parents never got their old life back, but they earned something far more valuable, a second chance to become better people. And I finally found what I'd searched for since I was 8 years old. Not the family I had lost, but the family I chose to build.